Hi, my name's Adam and welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about how to get debt-free before retirement, ideally way before retirement. Now, a lot of you watching this video are probably debt-free. Maybe you just have your mortgage, but no other debt outside of your mortgage. But I can promise you this, there's someone in your life that has debt, that struggles with debt, and they need your help, okay? I can create these videos. I'll give you some tips, tricks, how to kind of manage this, get rid of your debt. But not everyone comes across these videos, unfortunately. Pass the video along, pass the information along, or talk to your neighbors, your friends, your kids, your grandkids. There's someone in your world, or probably many people in your world, that are struggling with debt. They need help. And if you're someone that has no debt, you've paid it off, you've managed it well, that means that you have a lot of the knowledge behind the steps you need to take to make sure that you get debt free or manage your budget better or ways to take on less debt. Okay, so if you're someone, again, watching this video debt free, you need to be helping someone out beside you. Again, it could be a neighbor, a coworker, a friend, a child of yours. There's so many people in your world that are struggling with debt. So let's take a minute, take a step back if you're in that position of being debt free and help those around you. So in this video, we'll cover off the 5 ways to kind of manage and control that debt, get rid of debt, make sure you don't take on more debt. And we're also at the end of the video, we'll give you some resources that you can use to kind of take that next step to get debt free. What do you do? Where do you go? How do you get help? So we'll include that at the end of this video as well. So step number 1 is, of course, identify the debt that you have. How much do you have? What interest rate? What's the minimum payment? Where are those debts? Are they credit card? Are they line of credit, car loan? There's so many types of different debt that you could have. So step number 1 is just to identify them. Okay. So a lot of us will, and talk to some of you that have, 5, 6 different credit cards. Okay. And you kind of say, oh yeah, I have that credit card over there. I forgot about that. Like, no, you can't forget about debt. Debt doesn't forget about you. You can't forget about your debt. Okay. So step number 1 is identify, write it down, put, where it's at, how much it is, interest rate you're paying on that debt, and the current minimum payment. Step number 2 in controlling your debt and get rid of your debt is to make sure that you have a budget and you review your budget. Okay, so now's the time, you know how much debt you have, you map that out. Now you need to look at your budget. How's your budget running? Do you have more money in your budget that you could use to allocate for that debt? Are you spending too much in certain areas of the budget? And we'll put our link to our budget template below. It's a free download. Download that template. What it does is you put your income at the top of that budget, and then you put your expenses in. And we have a column beside that will tell you how much you should be spending in general in that area. Okay, so it'll help kind of allocate your funds. Now, this will kind of get you back on track, and it'll highlight where you may be spending a little bit too much money. But step 2 of this plan needs to be a budget. You need to make sure you have a budget. If you're someone that's sitting in debt, you might have that debt because you don't have a clear budget, okay? And all a budget is knowing how much money is coming in and how much and where that money is going out. If you don't know where you're spending your money, that's an issue, okay? Not only are you taking on more debt, but you're not saving probably for retirement, okay? So what does retirement look like? If you're in your 40s and 50s and you say, yeah, I have debt and I haven't saved a penny for retirement, that's an issue. That's a budgeting issue. Okay. You need to take a step back and look at that. Maybe you don't have enough money coming in. Okay. Maybe we need to get a second job, a part-time job. We need to look at different job opportunities, do something online. There's many options to kind of drive up that revenue stream. But again, I think for most of us, the issue is, the spending, where that money is going. And I guarantee you, if you start tracking where your money's going, you're going to spend less and you're going to save more. I can promise you that. Okay, now step number 3, now that we have kind of the list of debts, where they're at, we have our budget in place, now create a strategy moving forward, create a plan, okay? You need to have a plan and you need to put it on paper, okay? It's very important to put it on paper, and in a perfect world, share that plan with someone. Maybe it's your spouse or common law partner, maybe it's a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, someone. Share it with them so you have accountability. I always go through, if you write something down and you have an accountability partner around what you wrote down, the chances of succeeding is astronomically higher than just keeping that plan in your head and not sharing it with anyone and not writing it down. So write it down, share it with someone, and you'll have that accountability moving forward. So the plan needs to include a few things. It needs to have a time frame or a timeline. Okay, so if you say, look, I have $100,000 in debt, in credit card debt, and I want to be debt free in a year. Okay, is that a realistic time frame? Okay, so make sure that the debts you have, your budget, how much free cash flow, that it actually lines up. Okay, now you might say, well, I only have $50 a month and I have $100,000 of debt. Obviously, that's not going to get you too far. You need to rein back on the budget, either make more money, spend less money. You need to find a way to allocate more to that debt. Okay, so step number one in that strategy or in the plan is to have a timeline. Okay. Step number two is determine how you want to pay off your debt. And there's two ways to do this. Either go after the high interest debt first or go after the largest amount of debt. Okay, so let's say you have 5 credit cards and they all have a different interest rate and they all have a different balance. Okay, option number one is to go after the highest rate. So your highest rate credit card, whether it's the lowest balance or the highest or somewhere in between, it doesn't matter. You want to pay off the 25% interest rate credit card first, then the 22, then the 20, then the 18, and go down that way. The other way to pay off debt is to go after the smallest one first. Okay, so go after, the one with $1,000. Okay, that one's paid off. We can get rid of that. Now go after the next one and kind of work your way that way, leaving the biggest one for last. Some people actually go for the biggest one first. I don't like that strategy because it really leaves your overall debt situation there for longer. It just feels like it's lingering for that much longer. Me personally, I think, and when you run the numbers, it makes the most sense to pay the highest interest rate card or debt off first. Okay, this goes against a lot of people out there, but if you run the numbers, it makes the most sense. Psychologically, it might make the most sense to pay off the smallest amount of card first, but go after, if you really want to get the most bang for your buck, create a strategy that pays off your highest rate debt first and work backwards from there. Part 4 of getting debt free is to look at consolidating some of your debt. Okay, and this is an option for most of you. You may not get this. So if you walk into your bank, financial institution and ask for a consolidation loan, they don't have to give it to you. It's not something they have to give to you. Okay, it's going to be based on your income and your credit score. Now, let's take a step back. Most of you, if you don't know your credit score, you need to find out your credit score. Okay, get a credit report. I'll put a link below to a free resource at Borrowwell. I use it myself. I get a Borrowwell report every single month with my credit report so I can track it. Now, why is this important? It's good to know your credit report or credit score so that you know that, if I go to borrow money, do I have a high credit score? Will I get a better interest rate? Will they give me money? That's important. The second part is it's good to monitor your credit score, because if you see it dropping or you see in a credit report there's an expenditure that didn't belong to you, that's fraud. Okay, and that happened to me and my wife. We did a video a little while ago on that. That's how I caught it. I got my credit report, my score dropped substantially, and I thought, well, that makes no sense. Like, I hadn't done anything to create that drop. I dug into it, and sure enough, someone had got into my credit card and kind of gotten into our identity, essentially. So we had to take a step. So it kind of saved us, or it actually, for me, it saved us a lot of issue. For my wife, they'd already gotten too far into it. It took a long time to deal with that. But use the link below. Borrowwell is a great resource. It'll give you a free credit report from Equifax. And it'll just give you your credit score. Okay, so it's the credit score. You can either go from Equifax or TransUnion. Borrowwell gets it from Equifax. It gives you the number, and again, that's an important number. That's your report card. So once you get past school, your report card number, your score, is your credit score. That's a very important part of your world, your financial world going forward, whether before or during or after retirement. So keep that in mind. That's very important as you move forward. So click the link below, Borrowwell, to get your credit score and track that going forward. So going back to consolidation loans, go into your financial institution. If you have a bunch of credit cards at high interest rates, they may be able to consolidate it under one debt at a much lower interest rate and have one payment. Okay, so maybe you have a bunch of credit cards at like that 15 to 25% interest rate. They may be able to consolidate a lot of it, or maybe even all of it, into one debt at 5 to 7%. Again, the rate's going to always change. It's going to be prime plus 3, 4, 5, 6%. So it will be a high rate still, but much lower than your credit card. Okay, so if you're sitting with credit card debt, look at a consolidation loan. It'll help tremendously. And the last part of getting out of debt is not taking on more debt. And I know that sounds common sense, but for a lot of you that carry debt, it's actually a habit. Like, it's something that you've just gotten a habit. It's a spending habit. It's an issue. Okay, so you need to make sure as you start to pay off your current debt that you're not taking more on. Okay, so what are some strategies to make sure you don't take some more on? So let's walk through a few of those. So step 1 is to make sure that you're reviewing your budget on a weekly or at least a monthly basis. Okay, you need to be really dialed into your budget, following it closely, and make sure make sure that you're not swaying from kind of your income and your expenditures. If your income's down, like maybe you have a job where you get commission or bonuses and it's down in the month, you need to make sure that you adjust your expenditures as much as you can accordingly. The second way to make sure you don't go into debt, and this is a huge one, is impulse buying or the small expenditures or the ongoing, monthly transaction fees. So it might be like a Netflix. Like maybe you need to drop Netflix and Disney Plus and some of these ongoing expenses that come out of your bank account every month. Are you using them all? Do you need them? If you're going into debt and you have some of these subscription fees, you need to cancel them. You need to change your world a little bit, okay? So maybe just hop on free YouTube for a while and cut out, cable and internet, or maybe not internet, but cable and Netflix and all that. And also the impulse buying. And one tool we've used in our house, and we didn't have an issue with impulse buying, but it's really helped us spend less on groceries and just going out shopping, is we do online grocery shopping now, okay? That has saved us, I would say it saves us $30 to $50 every single week, because when you start going through the aisles, you see stuff. It's like, oh, we could use this. And then you stand in the grocery lineup, and what's there? Chocolate bars and chips and impulse buying stuff, okay? And you start adding a few things, and all of a sudden you've added $10, $20, $50 to your grocery bill, and you're doing that every single week, okay? That really eats into your budget. So to help you stop going into debt more, maybe you want to look at online shopping. You're only going to buy what you need. You go pick it up. You might pay $3 or something like that, $3 to $5 to pick it up. But trust me, that $3 to $5 is going to be far offset from the impulse buying that you're not doing anymore. So a few other strategies to just help you not go into more debt is don't use your credit cards, right? Credit cards are easy to use. You just tap and it feels like you didn't spend any money. All of a sudden you get your statement at the end of the month, and it's massive, right? So put your credit cards away, pay cash for everything, have a budget, have a cash budget maybe for everything. Start paying cash. Look at your banking fees. A lot of you are paying a high amount of banking fees. How do you reduce those? Again, any other ongoing fees. So, again, review your budget. Make sure that you're not doing that impulse buying stuff. Look at ways to reduce kind of ongoing transaction fees, monthly fees, whether it's banking fees or Netflix or that kind of thing. And put the credit card away. That's going to help tremendously. So where do you go from here? If you're someone sitting in debt, or maybe, again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you're not in debt, you're in a good position, but you know people that are in debt, how can you help them, okay? So again, we put our budget tool below. Download that, use that. It's going to help you get on track with your budget, okay? So that's really step number one, other than, knowing that you have that debt and adding that up, okay? So make sure you have a budget. We have a template below. There's lots of budget tools online. Find something that works for you. Maybe your bank has an online tool that kind of tracks everything for you. Use that. Whatever it is, just use something. That's really, the first place to start. So again, if it's either yourself or someone close to you, make sure that you have a budget in place, a tool that you can follow. You can use a program like Mint. There's so many different options out there to use. Now, if you're in a position where you have a ton of debt, it weighs you down every night. There's no way you can create a plan to get rid of this. You might want to talk to a credit counselor, an insolvency trustee, or a financial planner, okay? So there's a few different professionals that you could talk to. I know, we've had people come to us and say, look, I have a lot of debt, and we've actually sent them to an insolvency trustee. Not looking at going the bankrupt route, but there's alternate options for that. So talking to a professional around that, here's my situation. I don't see how I can get out of this. Surround yourself with people around you that know how to get you out of that. Again, a credit counselor, an insolvency trustee are your two great options. Google one in your area and just have a chat with them. A lot of times they'll do a free consultation over the phone. Give them a call, give them kind of the Coles Notes where you're at, and they'll be able to get you on track. So hopefully this video helped you out. Again, if you're in debt, follow these steps. You need to start working to get out of debt, because again, when you're sitting in debt, you're probably not saving for retirement. And as you get closer to retirement, that's going to be an issue. You're going to have to work longer. You're not going to have much money in retirement. There's going to be a lot of issues there. So step one, get out of debt. And again, a lot of you watching these videos, maybe you're not in debt, but again, I can guarantee you there's someone close to you that struggles. They're not just in debt, but they're struggling with debt. It's stressful for them. They're losing sleep over it, and it's taking years off their life. Step in, help them out, coach them on this, support them on this, being that mentor to them, okay? So even if you're not in debt, this video is still for you. You need to take this, use the resources, and help those around you. So hopefully that'll help you, help those around you. Thanks for joining us in this video. We'll see you in the next one.